Thanks for tuning back in. I'm Tommy Campbell, still bald, still in my basement, and still laughing at Team Trump trying to defend the indefensible after his disrespectful Arlington visit, and the right wing desperately trying to spin the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz interview.
It's just so disappointing. There are all kinds of women who take on tough challenges in their day-to-day lives. They're balancing budgets, they're running businesses, raising their families. They've done difficult things. And then we have a woman who wants to be the leader of the free world, and she can't get through an interview without being propped up by a man. I mean, it's insulting. It really is. So I hope that everybody recognizes that Tim is there to help prop her up. And if it gets awkward or she starts giggling or looking, crazy, that he's going to interrupt and take over. And then they're going to go back and stop the tape and maybe retape that question to make sure.
Okay, don't try and talk about women facing tough challenges when you couldn't face the challenge of training a dog, you gravel pit graveyard over Botox South Dakota cyborg reject. We've seen the interview and none of this happened, but the right wing really did their best to push the crazy and rewrite history.
Her handlers don't even trust her to survive a softball CNN interview. So Coach Walz is going to chaperone tomorrow night at 9.
Was that what was going on in this interview you did with Trump and Vance? Or any of these interviews? Interviewing the team in the running is not new. Been around for years, but they're pushing this because Kamala's not white and a woman. So how could she possibly do this job without a man's guidance, without a guy right there to save her? Thanks for taking in this bald comedian's take on things. Please join the best subscribers on YouTube while I blast the latest and stupid and more.
Now, why is he doing all this?
He's doing it because he needs attention to what went on in our 2020 election. If you talk to people in Chicago,
Donald Trump can do his best to spin it, but the United States Army issued a statement confirming that a member of Donald Trump's team pushed an Arlington National Cemetery employee during Diaper Dawn's visit to the grave sites of deceased service members. Trump was there for a wreath-laying ceremony remembering 13 American soldiers who were killed in a suicide bombing at Abbey Gate at Kabul Airport.
Ma'am, I don't need a teleprompter. I've actually got thoughts in my head, unlike Kamala Harris, who had their loved ones die 3 years ago at Abbey Road. 3 years ago at Abbey Road.
Great work, JD, JP, Vance, Mendel, whatever your name is, hyping your mad skills and then throwing in a Beatles album. One of the coolest things I did on my day off in Tokyo was going to Abbey Road, a live music venue featuring an all-Japanese Beatles performing each night. Now, the John Lennon looked like Yoko. It was wild. These guys are fantastic. If you're in Tokyo, make sure you go to Abbey Road. It is an awesome night out. Okay, best J.D. Vance Beatles songs. Here are my top ones. While My Chesterfield Gently Weeps, 8 Names a Week, Golden Blunders. I saw her standing there, and I told her, I'm J.D. Vance running for vice president, and she said, okay, all you need is Love Seat. Give me your best ones in the comments. Now here's the official statement from the U.S. Army regarding the incident. Arlington National Cemetery routinely hosts public wreath-laying ceremonies at the tomb of the unknown soldier for individuals and groups who submit requests in advance. ANC conducts nearly 3,000 such public ceremonies a year without incident. Participants in the August 26 ceremony and the subsequent Section 60 visit were made aware of federal laws, Army regulations, and DoD policies, which clearly prohibit political activities on cemetery grounds. An ANC employee who attempted to ensure adherence to these rules was abruptly pushed aside. Consistent with the decorum expected at ANC, this employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption. The incident was reported to the JBM-HH Police Department, but the employee subsequently decided not to press charges. Therefore, the Army considers this matter closed. This incident was unfortunate. It is also unfortunate that the ANC employee and her professionalism has been unfairly attacked. ANC is a national shrine to the honored dead of the armed forces, and its dedicated staff will continue to ensure public ceremonies are conducted with the dignity and respect the nation's fallen deserve. There is a lot here, but for starters, they note that there are 3,000 ceremonies a year without incident. That is huge. They are clearly saying you think the rules don't apply to you and you deliberately broke them. As they say, participants were all made aware of federal laws, Army regulations, and DoD policies, which clearly prohibit political activities on cemetery grounds. Someone was just trying to do their job and they were pushed away. Remember, this is the party that claims they are for the workers, and here's an example of that just being totally laughable. They say they are the party of law and order. Another example of that being totally laughable. They say they support the troops. Well, we know that Trump faked bone spurs to dodge the draft, calls them losers and suckers, said he likes people that weren't captured, and here he is using the dead for his TikTok, which, by the way, in 2020 he wanted to ban because he viewed the app as a national security threat, and now he's using it as a campaign tool.
You're acting like Donald Trump filmed a TV commercial at a gravesite. He was there providing emotional support to a lot of brave Americans who lost loved ones they never should have lost, and there happened to be a camera there.
They actually did film a commercial, and Donald Trump even tried to blame it on Gold Star families.
And while I was there, those families that asked me to be there, as they said, 3 families plus 1 soldier who was horrifically injured. And while we were there, they said, could you take pictures over the grave of my son, my sister, my brother? Would you take pictures with us, sir? I said, absolutely, I did. And then I said farewell. I said goodbye. So I go there. They ask me to have a picture, and they say I was campaigning. I don't need, the one thing I get is plenty of publicity. I don't need that. I don't need the publicity.
2 Trump campaign staffers pushed and verbally attacked the cemetery official who was trying to prevent them from entering and taking photos in the area. And that official declined to press charges out of fear of retaliation and harassment by Trump supporters because they aren't very nice people. They are crazy. Do you have any idea the kind of stuff that I actually get for making this show? It's like a legit dangerous job. These aren't pleasant people, okay? Arlington National Cemetery officials had told Trump's team that Trump could actually visit the grave sites personally. He was allowed to do that, just not part of a campaign event, and that campaign staff could not accompany him to Section 60, and that the use of hat signs or banners containing campaign materials were also not allowed. Now, in the latest bizarre pushback, Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung claims that an unnamed individual clearly suffering from a mental health episode decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony, and he said he's prepared to release footage if such defamatory claims are made. Okay, if you have more footage, that's just more evidence of what Trump and his team were not supposed to be doing.
I will say that, watching a little bit of Trump today, listening to his allies, J.D. Vance was out there being booed by a bunch of firefighters earlier this afternoon.
A round of applause.
Slash half the audience hated him.
No, it was in Boston.
But anyway, the attacks.
It was in Boston. That's a deep Democrat city, and he got overwhelmingly a round of applause.
J.D. Vance, I think his approval is like -17. Anyway.
Okay, so was J.D. Vance booed or not? Because Jessica Tarlov was very confident that he was, and Waters claims he got overwhelmingly a round of applause.
Well, Semper Fi, guys. Sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay.
Yeah, that's not a great reception. Fans and haters just sounds like haters to me. And there's more.
President Trump and I are proud to be the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history. And I want to talk about why we're fighting for working people, why we're going to fight for unions and non-union alike.
Pro-worker and Republican, there's no such thing. The unions aren't backing Trump. UAW President Sean Fain called Trump a scab, and these IAFF members showed up in these shirts, and the booing got to JD. He stumbled trying to get this joke out and then hit the ground harder than MTG dropping weights in her 5-car garage.
At the Republican convention, we were featuring everyday American workers, and of course, we had Hulk Hogan. And while it's tempting, and I'm sure it would make some big headlines, don't worry, everybody, I'm not going to try to take off my shirt here.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I make this show 100% on my own thanks to you. If you love what I do, drop me a super thanks, consider leaving me a PayPal tip, or hit the join button to support what I do here.
Next term, we will build a great iron dome over our country, a dome like has never been seen before, a state-of-the-art missile defense shield that will be entirely built in America and create jobs. We're going to build it in America. Israel has it. Why don't we have it? I mean, we're more of a target in many ways than Israel. Why don't we have it? And by the way, 300 missiles shot, only one got through, and that was wounded. It didn't hit its target. But So 300 missiles shot, and essentially none got through. It was, why don't we have it? We're going to have it, and we're going to...
Okay, Donald Trump first floated this plan over a year ago. Odds are he was on Ronnie Jackson's special Tic Tacs, flipping channels, mostly out of it, and caught the Simpsons movie and thought he could do this for America. He wants to build an impenetrable dome to protect the USA, even though Trump only managed to build a tiny stretch of wall that Mexico did not pay for and remains easily defeated by a quick trip to Home Depot. Cut it, climb it, or just wait for drizzle and wind to take it down. If we're talking Trump and impenetrable domes, I think most women on Earth would like one when grabby Trump's nearby. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Trump says he's a builder, but he hasn't laid a brick or a willing woman in his life. There is no iron in the Iron Dome, and even if there were, like his skyscrapers, he'd source materials from China to do it on the cheap. The Iron Dome is not a physical dome. It's an all-weather defense system designed to intercept and destroy short-range rockets and artillery shells fired from distances of 2.5 to 43 miles away. The United States is approximately 9.8 million square kilometers, while Israel is approximately 21.9 thousand square kilometers, making Israel 0.22% the size of the USA. The USA is 44,726% larger than Israel, and I'm going to run out of space on the screen for the zeros. It would cost to cover a place nearly 45,000% larger when each battery system costs $50 million, and it takes 15 just to cover Israel, and it's tiny, and you still have to load it up with missiles at $20,000 to $100,000 per interception. And there is a lot. The Iron Dome was not designed to deal with long-range, high-altitude missiles or bombs. If the dome miraculously intercepted a nuke at the altitude covered by the Iron Dome system, it would be as catastrophic as if it had just hit the ground. This is not designed for long-range missiles. It's for mortars across town. It is totally ridiculous. Trump has recently began to work the dome into his rallies more and more. He's not talking about finishing the wall, it's build the dome. And his crowds think it's an actual dome, like America will have a stadium roof with neon signs on top. At the time he first mentioned it, I dubbed it the Diaper Dome, the Irony Dome, and the Cheeto Shield. And users weighed in with their favorites. And here to read those is Mitch McConnell.
I would appreciate it if you would just call me Mitch McChow, MCCHAO. And yes, I can confirm that President Trump has been considering this diaper dome. Well, his viewers of the Tommy Campbell Show suggested brainless membrane, mushroom dome, tiny mushroom dome, Bigley dome, dumbest dome, orange dome, dopey dome, tinfoil dome, the great Slurpee lid. You know, I've not had a Slurpee in years. I'll have to take McChow for a Slurpee after I finished taking her to town, if you know what I'm saying. Blunder Dome, Kofifi Dome, Lie Dome, Dome Home Defense System. That's like a very Steven Seagal sort of feel to it. I like it. Come over dome, come under dome, plunder dome, Stormy Daniels, Triple D Dome. Can I get a bump?
Cops for Trump, firemen for Trump, troops for Trump. MAGA tears. Vote for Trump unless you want 4 years of Kamala-unism. MAGA tears. I bet you don't know what gender you are. MAGA tears. Women facing tough challenges when you couldn't face the challenge of training a dog you gravel pit graveyard over Botox South Dakota cyborg reject. Savage.
Mushroom Dome. Tiny Mushroom Dome.
The USA is 44,726%.
Plunder Dome. Stormy Daniels Triple D Dome.
Talking Trump and impenetrable domes, I think most women on Earth would like one when grabby Trump's nearby. I'm sure Ivanka put this on her Christmas list.
Tiny mushroom dome.
Thanks for watching. Please stick around and check out another one of my videos. Say hello in the comments. Find my stand-up on Spotify, streamed by millions, and add me on Facebook and Instagram. It all helps. Be cool, be kind, take care.